Hey guys, here we are at 6th part of the story. Weakened to their breaking point, the allied shinobi forces have little chance of survival. The Jubi had fired a colossal Baijudama in their direction. The former Hokage are too busy trying to save them to focus on Kurama and the rest of the Biju's final plan of action. We will see as Naruto and Sakura go back in time to prevent disaster. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe button. Now, let's jump right in. Ino, Choji and Shikamaru were walking through a misty forest with their client, Tazuna walking in between them. Asuma was bringing up the rear, completing the diamond formation, enclosing Tazuna in a protective formation. While the Jonan and their client was lazily walking down the forest path, Asuma was jumpy looking about, fingers twitching whenever he thought he saw a shadow move. A sudden sound caused the group to stop when Asuma threw a kunai at a bush. After a couple of moments, Ino walked towards the bush and peered in, seeing a dead rabbit. Sighing in relief, Ino picked up the rabbit and walked back to the group. False alarm. It was just a rabbit. Sensei, since you already killed it, can we take it with us? Dad once told me that rabbit stew was very tasty. As Ino waited for his answer, Asuma was scrutinizing the rabbit with skeptical eyes. Beside him, Shikamaru was doing the same. Both of their eyes widened in startling realization. The rabbit was white. The season was summer, whereby the rabbit should have had brown fur. This one had white, ergo it was bred in captivity and probably used for a kawarimi. As they came to this realization, they heard a faint whistling sound of something sharp cutting through the air at a fast pace. With a pale face, Shikamaru collided with Tazuna, bringing the drunk old man to the forest floor with him. Beside him, Asuma had tacked Ino and Choji as well, just as a large Zanbato flew at waist height and collided with a tree. Getting up, the Jonan took on a defensive triangular formation around Tazuna as Asuma warily stared at the famous sword. Suddenly, in a puff of smoke, a man appeared on top of the handle of the sword. The man was wearing black shinobi pants, black sleeveless muscle shirt, blue-violet cloth forearm guards and blue-violet shinobi sandals. His lower face and neck was wrapped in bandages and he had a kirihite tied around his head with the plate facing left. Momochi Zabuza, Kirigakur no Kijin. To what do we owe this pleasure? Asuma asked with a nonchalant expression, while Shikamaru paled even further in fear, cursing and thanking Naruto at the same time for forcing him to memorize the bingo book. The information that he was remembering was scaring him. Sarutobi Asuma, son of the Sandaime Hokage. No wonder the Oni Kyodai failed. No matter, I will kill you here and then kill the bridge builder. You, snot-nosed Jonan, if you wish to live, then run back to your mommies, Zabuza said with malice as he easily hefted his sword, the legendary Kubi Karabocho, onto his shoulders. Suiten, Kirigakur no Jutsu. The mist thickened to the point where all of them could see barely a foot in front of them. A creepy chuckling filled the thick mist before intense killing intent flooded the clearing. The Jonan started to shiver and panic while Tazuna was nearly frothing at the mouth. Asuma had developed a prominent sweat at the oppressive feeling of the killing intent, but stared to releases his own to countermand Zabuza's. Lungs, liver, kidney, clavicle vein, jugular vein, heart, femoral artery, brain, spine. So many points to choose from. Which will I go for first? Zabuza's disembodied voice filled the clearing, causing a shiver to run down the Jonan in their client's spine. At the same time, Asuma looked about with worry. The mist was so infused with Zabuza's chakra that his barely adequate sensory abilities were being completely overwhelmed. Why don't I leave it a surprise? Zabuza suddenly appeared inside the formation right in front of a startled Tazuna, only for him to collapse in a puddle of water. Everyone turned to see Ino with her arm extended. A swirling wave of wind was flying through the point Zabuza's face was, drawing in a lot of the mist with it. Ah. Sorry sensei, I just reacted like Naruto taught me, Ino said with a sheepish look. Well, at least the troublesome blonde's torture is coming in handy, Shikamaru said when Zabuza's demented laugh filled the clearing. Well, what do we have here? A Jonan with some skill. Granted, a Mizu Bunshin is barely a fifth as strong as the original, but to take it out with a single focus strike imbued with nature transformation is still a grand feat. You would make a perfect assassin. If you were in Kiri before the bloodline purges, I would have personally picked you up as my apprentice. Ah. I will take it as a compliment, but I am not really interested in assassinations, Ino said with an awkward smile. That you should, Missy. Too bad I have to kill you all now. I can't take the chance of underestimating you all now. Zabuza appeared behind Asuma and slashed through him, only for Asuma to puff into smoke and be replaced with a split log. Asuma reappeared behind Zabuza and tried to slash at Zabuza's neck only for Zabuza to intercept the Konoha Jonin's trench knives with Kobi Kiribocho. To the former Kiri Shinobi's surprise, the trench knives scored deep gouges on the flat of the blade. Futon Chakra Flow Technique. I should have expected that. You are quite well known for your wind and fire ninjutsu combinations. No matter, your blood will help repair the damage, Zabuza said with bloodlust before he started to savagely attack Asuma, pushing the cigarette-smoking Jonin into a defensive retreat. Asuma was panting from the exertion. He was coming to his wits' end. No matter what he tried, Zabuza easily countered. He hadn't had such a challenge since his time with the 12 Ninja Guardians. His Katen ninjutsu was completely useless against Zabuza's Suten. His futon, while versatile, just didn't have the strength to take down Zabuza with a single strike. Besides, his futon were meant for support and combinations, not direct offense. It had already been 5 minutes and he was starting to feel the onset of chakra exhaustion. A single though was flying through Asuma's mind, a hell of a time to realize I have been slacking in training. Asuma-sensei. Behind you. Ino screamed in fear as another Zabuza appeared behind Asuma. The warning was enough for Asuma to twist his body enough to prevent the fatal blow to his spine, but unfortunately, the second Zabuza's sword carved a massive chunk of flesh from Asuma's shoulder while the other kicked him towards the large pond where another Zabuza was waiting. Before Asuma could even react, the third Zabuza had already went through hand seals before extending an arm towards him. The water around his feet swirled before rising in a swirling cocoon which quickly gained faint red markings from the blood Asuma was losing. Well Asuma, it seems that you are finally defeated. Wait in my Suten, Suro no Jutsu and watch while I slaughter your Jonin and your client before I finally end you, Zabuza said sharing a smirk with the two others. Without a visible signal, both rushed the Jonin, but before they could react, one of them was launched back with great force while the other stopped and warily watched the newcomer. The kid was barely 13 years old with spiky blonde hair, cerulean eyes and wearing a Anbu-style uniform with the Konoha Hittite wrapped like a belt while a Hittite with the kanji for Bijou and Senin on his forehead. His Jonin-style flak vest was burnt orange and he was wearing black boots and a red haori with yellow lightning at the bottom hem. He had a sealing kit at his waist and an equipment pouch on each outer thigh. Zabuza would have scoffed, but seeing the look in the blonde's eyes, Zabuza knew not to underestimate him. Especially if he was right about the newcomer's identity. Uzumaki Naruto, I presume? Your reputation precedes you. Though I wonder how much is propaganda and how much is truth. Naruto didn't say anything at first. Before he smirked and said, your reputation precedes you as well, Karigakur no Kijin. You should know that your Suten is completely useless against me. If you are even half as skilled as Jonin of Azushio were, I would be a fool to try ninjutsu against you. But with your pedigree, I doubt it. Son of one of the greatest Fuinjutsu users of my generation and an Uzumaki. It would be suicide. How about this, do you use Bukitsu? If so, let our weapons and taijutsu decide the confrontation. Naruto chuckled, very well, but let me warn you, it will be a very short contest. Zabuza's eyes narrowed at what he thought was an insult when Naruto started moving his hands. Before he could even react, he found himself dispersing and flowing towards Naruto's hand. The real Zabuza watched in shock the mist, his 3 clones, and the water prison dispersed and flew towards Naruto, who Zabuza could have sworn was dancing. He watched as all that water came together and formed into a dense ball of water above Naruto's head before compressing and freezing into a chunk of ultra-dense ice. Naruto grinned before he tossed the ball into the air. As the ball was falling, Naruto lashed out with a kick causing the ball to fly towards Zabuza before phasing out of existence. Before Zabuza could react, the ball of ice flew by his face. Loud smacking sound of ice with flesh resounded behind him, causing the former Kiri Shinobi to turn around and come stare into the mischievous eyes of Naruto. The ball of ice already reverted into a dense ball of water that Naruto was playing catch with. How? Seeing the dumb expression on Zabuza's face, Naruto grinned before saying, how what? How did you get here so fast? How are you manipulating the water like that? Are you even a human? Now that would be telling. I might tell you if you give up right now and beg me for the information. Mind you, I said I might. There is still no guarantee that I would. Zabuza glowered as Naruto threw the ball high into the air before clenching his fist, causing the ball to suddenly compress and expand, forming into a low-level dark cloud where some lightning was beginning to form. Naruto grinned and said, I hope that demonstration gave you an idea of what would happen if you use ninjutsu against me. Now let's see how good my bojutsu has become. I have about a month's worth of training in the basics. That should be enough to handle someone like you. What is he doing? Ino asked with worry. Granted that level of water ninju was cool, but why is he angering Zabuza? Troublesome blondes. He is playing mind games, trying to unsettle Zabuza. It won't matter who is more skilled in their style of bukitsu, if you can't focus. Don't forget what Naruto did to our elite Jonin and Anbu during that evaluation test. Even if he is more skilled, he is playing dirty, gaining every advantage he can. Just like Zabuza was doing when he was telling us all about the fatal points in which he should choose. Oh, stop worrying, guys. This is Naruto. The only person to nearly completely fool everyone other than Sakura, but then again, Sakura was doing the same. I hope I can do similar things with Earth, Choji said with starry eyes. Calm down, big guy. We should help Asuma-sensei first and let Naruto handle Zabuza. Ino said right as the rest of Team 7 appeared in the clearing with a mint-haired girl. At the same time another Naruto appeared with Asuma slung over his shoulder. Placing the nearly unconscious Asuma on the ground, Naruto took out 6 kunai with tags wrapped around the hilts. Quickly throwing the 6 into a hexagonal pattern, Naruto placed a 7th seal in the middle of the formation and channeled chakra into it. A 5-meter-tall pole of golden chakra erupted from the 7th seal while 4-meter-tall ones erupted from the 6 boundary ones. The tops of the boundary rods connected with wires of golden chakra before thinner filaments formed the boundary poles towards the central pole. When the framework had settled forming, panes of translucent golden chakra formed between the poles and the wires until a hexagonal house-like barrier formed around group. Why the barrier, Naruto? Sakura asked as she kneeled down beside Asuma and placed a glowing palm on the man's wounded arm before withdrawing it in shock. What the hell? How is he regenerating like that? What did you do now, Naruto? Well. No, don't tell me. The barrier is meant to accelerate regeneration of everyone within, isn't it? This is one of your clan's hidden jutsu, right? Naruto looked serious as he said, that's right, but a modified version. The original was meant to facilitate healing jutsu cast within it. This one causes a powerful regeneration ability to manifest on anyone injured within to the same level of a Jinchuriki's regeneration. I modified it, just didn't have the time to test it fully. It also replenishes chakra by changing natural energy into usable chakra without turning the target to stone. I call it the Uzumaki Haijutsu, 7 Tensei Shoheki. It also acts like a barrier that prevents outside interference and is strong enough to survive 3 futon, Rasen Shuriken back-to-back before collapsing. No one said anything, because what could they say? Naruto never did anything by half. So pulling such a technique isn't impossible for him. Nodding to herself, Sakura decided to help the barrier and healing Asuma while the others turned towards the Naruto who was taunting Zabuza. You know, Onin, you shouldn't be skulking around here like this. Someone could mistake you for having wrong intentions. The masked Onin jumped before pulling out some senbon and nearly chucked them towards Naruto before Naruto caught hold of the Onin's wrist. I mean, you no harm. Your target is Zabuza, right? That's right, Uzumaki-sama. The Onin said with a nervous twitch. Then you can have him, just let me test out my bojutsu against him before you do that. Goodbye, I am sure we will meet again, miss, Naruto said with a knowing tone before dispersing in smoke leaving behind a puzzled Onin. I think you have bitten off more than you can chew this time, Zabuza-sama. No matter, I will make sure to save you, even if I lose my life in the process. Or I will be a useless tool. So Zabu-chan, are you ready? Naruto said with a simpering tone causing Zabuza to audibly growl in anger. Watch it, boy. You may be stronger, but I have more experience in bukitsu. Naruto nodded before both of them reappeared in the middle of the clearing with Zabuza holding Kubi Karabocho over his shoulder. Naruto unsealed a staff made of silver chakra metal and got into a defensive stance. You can have the first strike, Zabuza. Here, I will make it easier. I will close my eyes for you. Zabuza watched with annoyance at Naruto's audacity but just shrugged and charged towards the boy with the intent on ending the boy with a single strike. As Zabuza was about to cleave Naruto in half, Naruto expertly swiped his staff and parried the blow before spinning and ramming the staff into Zabuza's stomach. Jumping back, Zabuza took a deep breath and started viciously attacking Naruto with swipes, kicks and thrusts. To his shock, Naruto kept dodging, parrying and countering with his eyes still closed. After a couple of minutes of assaulting the blonde, Zabuza jumped back and started taking in deep breaths. Naruto opened his eyes and smirked, saying, "Well, you had your chance. Let me try." Without warning, Naruto jumped forward, swinging his staff with an expertise that beguiled all expectations. For the next minute, Zabuza tried to dodge, parry or counter Naruto's blows only to partially succeed. The strikes he was able to parry or dodge were feints, and the counters he was able to connect were shrugged off with impunity. At the end of the short but furious bout, Zabuza was completely exhausted. Looking up with tired eyes, Zabuza's eyes widened in fear as Naruto thrusted his staff with great strength, catching the man in the stomach and launching him into a tree. The impact was so hard, that the tree snapped in half and fell backwards. That was fast. Great job, Naruto. Zabuza groaned and looked up to see Kakashi standing beside Naruto with a kunai in his hand. Zabuza watched as Naruto nodded before saying, "I must say, I had underestimated how good Zabuza is with that Zanbato of his. The only reason I won so easily was because I have greater stamina, strength and my sensory perception. Without those, Zabuza would have won. Do you want to do the honors, or should I?" Kakashi asked as he pointed his kunai at Zabuza. Naruto just shrugged, causing Kakashi to nod and pull his hand back to throw the kunai when 3 senbon needles struck Zabuza in the neck. Kakashi warily looked towards the source to see a Kiryoinen sitting on the branch with some more senbon in hand. As agreed, since I saw you weren't going to kill him, I decided to do it for you, Uzumaki-sama. As part of the deal, I will now take care of his body and sword. The Oinin said, causing confusion among everyone present except Sakura, who already knew what was happening. Naruto had made a deal with Haku to seem like he wasn't interested in creating an international incident, which would have happened if Haku was a real Kiryoinen. Let me check that he is dead. No offense to your skills, Oinin-san, but Senbon has a very low fatality rate, Kakashi said with a suspicious expression on his lone eye. Surprisingly, the Oinin nodded. I agree with you. I prefer Senbon as I am mostly dispatched to capture my targets alive. Unfortunately, if Zabuza, I was sent to kill him. Check him, I can guarantee that he is dead. I swear on my honor as a Kiryoinen. Kakashi nodded as he approached Zabuza and, kneeling down, felt for a pulse. After a couple of moments, Kakashi stood up and declared that Zabuza was dead. The Oinin nodded before jumping down from the tree and landing beside Zabuza's body. Taking out a kunai, the Oinin turned to the group and said, I would advise you, Jinan, to turn around. The next sight will be gruesome. If you haven't had your first kills, it would be very unsettling. Asuma, who was completely healed by now, nodded and said, I agree with the Oinin. If any of you don't wish to watch the Oinin behead Zabuza, then I advise you all to turn your head. Tazuna and most of the Jinan turned their heads away. Only Sakura, Naruto and Fu kept watch with Asuma and Kakashi. The Oinin nodded and placed the kunai at Zabuza's throat before quickly making a couple of one-handed hand seals out of the view of everyone and suddenly disappeared. Asuma and Kakashi cursed while Sakura and Naruto looked at each other and nodded. At least some part of their plans were still feasible. The way Haku was behaving caused an unseen tension on their shoulders. Seeing Haku take away Zabuza was a massive relief to them. Tazuna and the Jinan turned back to as soon as Kakashi and Asuma cursed and saw Zabuza and the Oinin were gone. Ino, being the inquisitive one, asked, where are the Oinin and Zabuza's corpse? The Oinin was Zabuza's accomplice. Unfortunately, even though I had my suspicions, I couldn't interfere for fear of causing an international incident, if my suspicions were wrong. By the time we realized what happened, the Oinin had already taken Zabuza away. But you said that he was dead? Sasuke asked with a frown before his eyes widened in realization. Senbon. The Oinin used Senbon. It may have carried a fast-acting poison that temporarily sends the body into a death-like state. Close, but not quite, Sasuke. The Senbon struck the neck in a particular sequence. The same sequence of striking with a finger would activate pressure point that would induce a death-like state, Sakura said with her expertise in human anatomy and her knowledge from the future. Everyone nodded in deference to her speciality. Sakura was the only one with knowledge and expertise among them to truly understand what happened. Asuma shakily stood up and asked, how long will he be out, Sakura? I would put it up to a week to recover from the death-like state. Then another one to recover from the strikes Naruto were able to land on him. Did you break anything serious? Sakura asked Naruto with a frown. A couple of ribs. Probably a ruptured spleen. The impact with the tree should have cracked a couple of vertebrae. Probably a concussion. Nothing serious that would take Zabuza out for more than 2 weeks. 3 tops if the fake Oinin doesn't have medical expertise. Sakura nodded, then let us assume the worst, expect them to try again in a week's time. Wait, Naruto-sama, what did the fake Oinin mean about a deal? When did you make a deal with the fake Oinin? Fu asked, causing Shikamaru to focus shrewd eyes on the blonde. I had my suspicions as well. Unfortunately, being a daimyo, my actions would have greater effect on the world at large. If I was mistaken, Then since the Oinen and my mission weren't putting us on opposite sides, it could have been taken as me trying to avenge the fall of the Uzumaki clan at the hands of the Kirikumo-Iwa coalition. That would sour the already precarious relations of Konoha with Kumo and Iwa. Fu nodded in understanding when Shikamaru spoke up, why not follow them now? You have nearly unparalleled sensory abilities. Think Shika, what would you do in the Oinen's position? Naruto said with a serious expression. I would expect you to follow me. I see what you mean, but you have the power to easily dispatch the enemy. Why not take it? Simple really Shika, we have traveled non-stop for 2 days directly from Kiri. Even I have my limits. While I am not really that close to collapsing, it is better to fight on your own terms instead of letting the enemy dictate the terms. Now let's get moving. Sasuke doesn't have the stamina to keep going and still have strength to fight if he doesn't rest soon. Everyone nodded while Sasuke huffed in annoyance but didn't say anything. Though it hurt his pride to admit it, but Naruto was right. For all of his skills, he still had poor stamina. Even Sakura had better stamina than him and Fu was a Jinchuriki. It seems that all Jinchuriki are blessed with massive stamina, which in his opinion was unfair. Tazuna-san, direct us to your home. We are close, right? Asuma asked as he stood up and stretched. Not more than an hour's walk from here. Alright then Team 10 and Sasuke, you take diamond formation around Tazuna with Sasuke at point. The rest of us will take up a pentagon formation around the diamond formation with Naruto at point, Asuma and me at the rear and you two on Naruto's left and right, your choice. Kakashi said with Asuma nodding in agreement. After the formation was ready, the group started walking again while one of Naruto's clones destroyed the ceiling tags of the barrier so as to not leave any evidence of the barrier. The group was nearing Tazuna's house when Asuma suddenly realized that they had an extra member with them. Staring at Fu, Asuma asked, I seem to have forgotten to ask, but who are you? Sasuke chuckled and said, this is Fu, the Jinchuriki of the Nanabi no Kabutamushi. Naruto strong-armed Taki to release her into service of the Uzumaki clan for the transgressions of the Taki elders against his clan. Don't forget that the Taki Daimyo has acceded all ownership rights of the Nanabi to the Uzumaki clan as a way of trying to appease Naruto. Though dissolving the 100-year-old treaty was a bit harsh but an acceptable course of action especially since Naruto would completely crush Taki for the transgressions, Sakura said with a small grin causing Team 10 and Tazuna to gape at the blonde while Fu simply smiled in amusement. And Taki agreed, just like that? Ino asked with incredulity. Naruto-sama can be very persuasive. Hell, he even convinced the Nanabi to work with me instead of passively resisting. You are lucky that Chome was only passively resisting, Kurama used to actively resist me. I couldn't even draw a single tail's worth without nearly losing control. Anyway, you will still need to master yourself and your emotions before you can truly use Chome's power. Fu huffed and mumbled, stupid meditation. I can swear that you inwardly laugh at me whenever I fail. Ah, here we are. Tazuna suddenly exclaimed, drawing everyone's attention to the large house standing alone near a dock. As everyone stared at the house admiring the scenery, Tazuna walked up to the door and knocked, bringing everyone out of their reverie. A middle-aged, wearing a pink top and blue skirt opened the door with an apprehensive look. Seeing Tazuna standing in front of her, a smile blossomed on her beautiful visage. Father, you're home safe. That I am Tsunami and it's all thanks to these super shinobi with me. Especially the young blonde one, he toyed with the demon of a man sent to kill me before the man was taken away by his accomplice posing as a ninja from another village. I am sure that I am perfectly protected while they are here. That's good news, I thank you for protecting my father Shinobi-san. Please come in and make yourselves at home, though unfortunately we only have one spare room, Tsunami said standing aside to let her father and his guard enter the house. Not to worry, Sakura-chan and I am well used to living outside, so are Kakashi-sensei and Asuma-sensei, Naruto said with a grin with Sakura, Kakashi and Asuma nodding in agreement. Besides I always carry multiple survival kits with me nowadays. Wait, you have multiple survival kits, complete with tent, rations and medical supplies on you right now? Ino asked incredulously. Yeah, isn't Fuinjutsu the best thing in the world? Ino blinked before muttering, I should have though to bring my gear sealed in a scroll. It would have been so much easier. Ignoring Ino's muttering, the rest of the Konoha ninja settled down around the living room. So the legendary Kirigaku no Kijin was defeated. You know, I expected better. After all, your reputation preceded you. I am paying you a lot of money. Make sure to kill the bridge builder, or you will regret it. Gato said with a sneer. I nearly did win. If Uzumaki Naruto didn't appear, I would have already finished the mission. I underestimated the brat last time, next time, I won't, Zabuza said with a growl, causing Gato to step back a couple of steps. With a shaky voice, Gato asked, Uzumaki Naruto is here? In Nami right now? Yes. Why? Are you afraid of the brat? I wouldn't fault you. The Uzumaki were dangerous foes. Besides, Uzumaki Naruto's father was also the only person to get the flea on-site recommendation in his bingo book entry. If I were you, I would hide in the farthest reaches of the elemental nations and hope that Uzumaki ignores you, Zabuza said with a feral tone, causing Gato to shiver in fear. Mind your tongue, Zabuza. I am not afraid of anything. Make sure to kill him as well. If you succeed, I will pay you 5 times the amount I promised you, Gato said before leaving the hut where Zabuza and his accomplice were. After Gato and his 2 men left, a young girl walked out of the shadows, wearing the uniform of the Kiryoinen. Her mask clutched in her hand. Zabuza-sama, I don't mean to insult you, but should we just consider the mission a failure and retreat? I mean, with the addition of Hokage Kakashi and Uzumaki Naruto. I know that Uzumaki Naruto doesn't have the field experience, but from what little I saw during your fight, he is skilled enough to make do, not to mention, is insanely powerful. We alone can't hope to survive such an encounter. Zabuza was quiet after the impassioned speech the girl gave before chuckling. I agree with you, Haku, especially since we would already be dead by now unless Uzumaki wants something from us, isn't that right, Uzumaki Naruto? A chuckling filled the hut, causing Haku to stiffen in shock and fear before turning to face the source of the voice. Naruto was leaning by the door to the storage room of the hut. His face was partially hidden in the shadows while his blue eyes shone with an inner light that seemed to draw her in. Finally, he was tossing a ball of compressed water which was transforming into ice before reverting back to water with each consecutive throw. You would be right there, Zabuza. I have an offer for you. Not as a Konoha ninja, but as the daimyo of Uzu no Kuni. Will you hear me out? Though it seemed to have been posed like a question, both Zabuza and Haku knew that Naruto would continue, even if they declined. Besides, it wasn't like they had anything to lose hearing him out. Sure, go on ahead. Not like I have any pressing appointment. Naruto nodded, good decision. If you had declined, then I am afraid you would have been sent to the pure world. Zabuza and Haku shivered at the tone, but kept quiet as Naruto continued. Now my offer is simple. As I am a daimyo, I am one of the few people that can pardon you for your crimes. What I want is that you pledge your loyalty to Uzumaki and help me rebuild Tozoshiogaku no Sato. In return, I will help you free Kiri. That's what your ambition is, right? Save Kiri from the self-destructive phase it is going through with the bloodline purges. Zabuza and Haku gawked at Naruto in shock. This was the first time someone realized Zabuza's true goal. Everyone thought that Zabuza was just the common power-hungry traitor, especially with his bloody reputation. What's the catch? I get that I will become a shinobi under the Uzumaki clan and later the reformed Tozoshiogaku, but that can't be the only catch. Naruto grinned, you are right, the catch is that you will have to give up Gobi Kiribocho. In return, I will help you forge a sword that will rival the 9 sacred treasures of the Uzumaki, to be exact it will rival the Kuragise no Ha. The Blade of Dark Immolation. The same sword that Uzumaki Tsukihana used when the Kaguya clan invaded Uzu 500 years ago? The sword that is said to be blessed by the sun goddess Amaterasu herself. Zabuza asked with incredulity while Haku looked at the two in confusion. Seeing the confused look, Zabuza clarified, Uzumaki Tsukihana was a legendary swordswoman. Her sword had the ability to summon the flames of Amaterasu-sama herself. The black flames that completely consumed only the target, leaving the rest unharmed. Tsukihana-sama fought against the 300 Kaguya alone and lost her life. It is said that as she was dying, she merged her spirit with the sword, allowing it to become sentient, granting it even greater power. A new form that is said to be able to reduce the world to ashes. As her last act, she released an inferno that reduced every enemy in the battlefield to ashes, leaving the trees and allies unharmed. To forge a new sword that can rival such a legendary artifact, you can see why I am shocked. Haku nodded in understanding before Naruto interrupted, the story is not completely true. In truth, Tsukihana-san didn't infuse her spirit into the sword as she died. She infused her spirit as the sword was being forged. And she died using the sword's most powerful technique, Zanjutsu Gokui. It clads the user in black flames that makes the user completely impervious to any physical attack. Only high-powered Raiten Jutsu can penetrate the flames as it absorbs all other fire and incinerates corporeal elements. Anything touching the black flames will be instantly incinerated. Keeping the technique active too long will cause the flames to consume the user as well. If I did accept, why would you trust me? I don't have the stellar track record of being loyal. Oh, I have ways to ensure loyalty, but I don't think I will need them. Instead I will apply a seal that will paralyze you if you think of betraying me or mine. Now to the young lady. Haku, right? Haku nodded, confused at what Naruto wanted with her. I know your ability. You are one of the last Hyoton users in the world. The last of the Yuki clan. I can feel the icy chakra flowing through you. I will allow you to recreate your clan in Uzu and grant you the rank of nobility in my country. There are a few more survivors spread around the world, I am sure of it. I will help you find them as well. No one can hide from my sensory abilities. The only catch is absolute loyalty to Uzu. You would allow me to reform my clan and elevate it to noble status? Haku asked with surprise. I will only do it with the first 6 clans to join or form in the reformed Uzu. Now that I think about it, Zabuza, I will allow you to create your own clan as long as you find a worthy enough reason to be allowed to form a clan. The sword I will forge shall be your family heirloom. So what do you say? Can we get some time to think about it? You offer much and all of it life-changing. It isn't an easy decision. We will tell you our decision in 3 weeks on the bridge. We won't attack before then. Naruto nodded before fading from existence. He was a clone. Haku asked in shock. Zabuza just nodded before saying, what do you think, Haku? Should we accept his offer? I don't know, Zabuza-sama. To be served such an offer on a golden plate, I can't help but suspect subterfuge, Haku said with concern. Zabuza nodded before saying, we have 3 weeks to accept or deny the offer. If we deny, then we will also have to forfeit our lives. I don't think he would kill us if we abandon our mission and never show up at the bridge, Haku said with uncertainty. That may be true, but what if he takes offense and hunts us down? He is a daimyo after all. Nobility, permission to create a clan, recreate in your case and clearing of all charges. If he is sincere, then we would have more than ever before. At least a safe home, even if he doesn't give the former. So retreat isn't an option. Haku nodded in agreement before walking out of the hut, calling out, I will be back soon with the medicinal herbs, Zabuza-sama. Please don't strain yourself while I am gone. Zori, send word to Iwa. I have a job for them. Gato said with a confidence. Are you sure, boss? You know that we can't get out a deal with a village, Zori said with a nervous expression. Who says, we kill the survivors and say they all died against the enemy. Then we don't pay them because we had to kill the targets ourselves, Gato said with a grin. Not like anyone can survive an onslaught of hundreds of samurai. Zori just shared an unsure look with Waraji before nodding. As you wish, boss. But don't come complaining to me when the deal turns sour. Teams 7 and 10 sat quietly as they had dinner with Tazuna and his family. Everyone was quiet because of the irritated aura Naruto was giving off and glaring at Asuma from time to time. Everyone could feel the tension in the room. After dinner was finished, Sakura, Ino and Fu offered to help with the dishes and quickly retreated from the room in fear of the impending fireworks. Shikamaru was warily looking from his sensei to Naruto and back. Choji was for once, not eating anything, nervously looking at the scene from the back of the room. Sasuke and Kakashi were leaning on the wall beside the main door and watching with hidden amusement. Tazuna was on his back, completely unconscious from overdrinking. After a few more minutes of tense silence, Asuma finally spoke up, Did I do anything to irritate you, Naruto-sama? You tell me? Naruto said with an emotionless tone. Asuma sweated in realization of what he had done to irritate Naruto, but decided to play dumb in hopes of not being scolded too much. He was not going to be able to live down a second scolding. Not with Kakashi watching it. I don't think I have done anything to offend you? Really? Then what about laziness? What about not training your Jonin team enough before taking them on a C-rank mission? What about not training yourself back to your prime? The same power you had when you were a member of Hideyoshi Dono's guard. Asuma flinched at each of the points Naruto made. Normally, Asuma would have told Naruto that he had no authority to scold a Jonin on his actions, but with the Fire Daimyo and the Hokage giving Naruto the orders to train a select few shinobi, among whom he, himself was included, Naruto had all the right to scold him. You are pathetic. The very first training session you participated to learn ninju, you saw that your stamina had diminished. Your chakra has grown, but you haven't trained to maintain your control. You failed to train your Jonin to increase their chakra reserves appreciably. If I'm not mistaken, you wouldn't have taught them the tree climbing and water walking techniques yet. Luckily I did during ninju training. Most of all, You should have easily defeated Zabuza. Both in skill and if you had bothered to learn a few more powerful futon ninjutsu, not to mention if you used ninshu. You have Earth for Kami's sake. You could have easily defeated Zabuza with Earth ninshu. But you never thought of using ninshu at all. You panicked and reverted to old habits. In doing so, you had endangered your students and your client. You shouldn't have accepted the mission in the first place. We all know C-rank missions can easily escalate to higher rank. You have failed in being a sensei and a shinobi of Konoha. I am very disappointed. If you are not interested in applying the arts of ninshu to your style, then don't bother coming back to learn, but make sure to be a better sensei. Your father trained 3 legendary shinobi, even if one of them became a traitor, he was a great sensei and he did that while he was Hokage. Hell, even Konohamaru would be a better sensei, only because he isn't lazy. Clean up your act, Asuma, before you get your team, yourself and your comrades killed. Naruto stood up and left without another word, leaving the rest in an uncomfortable silence. After a couple of moments, Shikamaru sighed and said, "Damn, that was terrifying, troublesome blonde. No emotion. I didn't even think Naruto could become emotionless like Kot. You should clean up your act as well, Shika, before Naruto turns his attention on you. You and Sensei have been lazy playing shogi so much. Even Ino has been training hard. Did you see how easily she defeated the Oni Kyodai with only her air ninshu? Tomorrow morning, meet me for training at 5 AM sharp. Kakashi, make sure you aren't late, and I already let the girls know. I will take first patrol tonight and scout for a training area nearby as well," Naruto said, phasing into existence before phasing out. "That is scary, how he can create and dispel his clones without smoke," Choji said with a nervous laugh. "Asuma, don't take Naruto's words too hard. He is only looking out for us. Also, strategy is good, but being unable to implement it helps no one. You always had that problem. Now I am going to bed. I really don't want Naruto to put those stupid resistance and gravity seals on me again," Kakashi said before leaving the room. Sasuke followed his sensei, but just before leaving he smirked and said, "I advise you all to have a good night's sleep. Naruto's training will make you wish you were in the 9th circle of hell." "He didn't really mean that, right, Shika?" Choji asked with uncertainty. "If Sasuke is saying that, then I have no reason to doubt it. Troublesome, no wonder Naruto and Sakura are so strong." "Tsuchikage-sama, I have urgent news for you," a Chunin said, rushing into the Tsuchikage's office. "Well, what is it? I don't have all night, you know," Aniki said with a frown as the Chunin caught his breath. After a few moments of panting, the Chunin stood up and handed the aged Tsuchikage a scroll. The Tsuchikage read the information, which seemed to be a request for an assassination mission. As Aniki read further, his eyebrows rose higher at the information. Placing the scroll down, Aniki took out a bingo book and opened it to the target page. Threat ranking, high S. Assessment, do not engage unless in a team with an S-ranked individual. Bounty, an A. Notes, fully realized Jinchuriki of the Kyubi no Yoko. Accomplished sensor with the ability to sense emotions and life force. During an evaluation, was able to defeat a number of mid to high A ranked on team versus 1 combat. Rikage personally observed the evaluation and have come to this assessment. Aniki looked at the entry with a horrified visage. He couldn't believe what he was reading. If what Kumo had published was true, then they had a dangerous enemy out there. How his spies missed the information, he didn't know, but this was information that could tip the balance of power. Anbu, get the council together. I don't care if they are sleeping, or busy. Have them in the council chambers within 10 minutes, even if you have to drag them out in their pajamas. Aniki ordered as his son walked into the room. "What's going on, father?" Kyuchi asked with concern. "It seems you are expecting an invasion." "Ah, Kyuchi. It's good that you are here. Here, read this," Aniki said, giving Kyuchi the bingo book with the page open. Kyuchi nodded and read the information before paling in realization of what he read. "That man had a son?" Aniki nodded, causing Kyuchi to pale even further. "What are we going to do? We are still enemies with Konoha. If Konoha decides to attack, with that kid leading, it will be a massacre. Especially if Jiraiya and Tsunade of the Sanin join in. We can't let Kurosuchi know. She will head out and try to kill him herself. I know. I don't want to anger Konoha, but we were asked for an assassination mission. The target is being guarded by Uzumaki, Hatake Kakashi, and Sarutobi Asuma. Do you think I should accept? We can try and kill Uzumaki during the mission without fear of repercussions, but should we? I don't know, father, but my vote is to not involve ourselves with this affair. We aren't ready for a war, nor do I think we will succeed in trying to kill Uzumaki. Are you calling the council meeting to discuss this? That's right, you think I shouldn't? I would say yes, but not letting them know now would come back and bite you later. Besides, you don't need to accept any of their demands. Iwa is not a democracy after all. You are right, Kichi. Even if they want, I don't have to accept the mission if I think it is not worth it. Sasuke and Sakura were holding up Shikamaru between them. Behind them Fu was supporting Choji while carrying a barely conscious Ino on her back. In front of them Kakashi and Asuma were walking, but if one observed carefully, they could see they were barely standing. Naruto is a slave driver. A real demon, Ino whispered, causing Fu to giggle. I didn't think it was that bad. Speak for yourself, sister. Stupid Jinchuriki and their massive stamina. Ino grumbled, causing Fu to giggle even more. Don't complain, Ino. If Naruto hears you complain, he will only increase your reps, Sakura said with a grin, causing the blonde-haired girl to audibly groan. I can't feel my legs. Shikamaru grumbled, causing Sasuke to smirk and say, at least you are still conscious. I was out cold the first few times. What did I do to deserve such punishment? Choji groaned, not even having any energy to eat his potato chips. It had been a week since the Konoha Shinobi, Fu and Tazuna had their encounter with Zabuza and Haku. Throughout the week, Naruto had the Jonin train while the Jonin took turns watching over Tazuna at the construction site. Everyone was sitting having finished their evening meal when Ino saw a family picture with the face of one of the members torn off. Being the inquisitive young kunoichi she was, she turned to Tsunami and asked, Tsunami-san, who is that? The one with the face torn off? Tsunami looked at the photo with a melancholic expression and sighed before speaking, that was my second husband, Inari's stepfather, Keiza. He was executed for standing against Gato. When Inari was younger, he saved Inari's life, and ever since, Inari had idolized him. His death hit all of his heart, but Inari was the most devastated. Everyone turned to look at the young boy drop his head in sadness. After a moment of silence, Choji spoke up, he reminds me of the Yondaime Hokage, Naruto's father. The Yondaime sacrificed himself to defeat the Kyuubi. There are very few heroes like them. I always like to think that he did it for me and not the village, Naruto said with a grin, causing Inari to look at the blonde with anger. Sensei was a true hero, just like your husband was. No matter their reason, they sacrificed themselves for their loved ones and their beliefs, Kakashi said with a melancholic expression. Inari exploded in anger, there are no heroes. Only fools who end up getting killed and leave their loved ones to suffer. And why do you all try so hard? You all will only get killed in the end. God is too strong. You don't know what we suffered. So stop trying to understand us. Choji, Ino and Sasuke bristled in anger as Naruto stood up. Sighing, Naruto was engulfed in a yellow cloak of energy. Beside him, Sakura had stood up as well, the seal on her forehead activating, spreading down her face and hands. Each took out a kunai before plunging it into their guts before harshly pulling them out in a flood of blood. Everyone watched in horror and amazement as the wounds smoked and healed up in moments. Before anyone could voice any questions, Sakura spoke up, listen kid, we are shinobi. It means we are walking with death. Death is a part of our profession. It's either kill or be killed in most cases. Unfortunately for our enemies, the technique you see me using now makes me practically immortal. I would like to see someone kill an immortal. And my power is shared between 9 individuals. With proper training, Fu will achieve the same ability. It's something common among proficient demon containers. That's right, both of us contain demons within us. The energy you see surrounding me is the full power of the Kyuubi no Yoko. I would like to see a normal human handle an imperfect Jinchuriki, let alone a perfect one like me. And suffering, we Jinchuriki are treated like the demons and outcasts. Don't try to tell me your suffering is at the same level we Jinchuriki suffer. Kakashi-sensei, I am out of here. Naruto. Wait, I am coming with you, Sakura said before rushing after her blonde teammate. Should we send someone after them? Asuma asked with concern, only for Sasuke to snort. After the show they put on, I doubt there is any fear of them dying. Hell, I didn't even know that Sakura had such a technique. With that alone, she would be S-class. I always thought the seal on her forehead was a chakra store. I didn't realize it could be released to activate such a powerful technique. Sasuke has a point. Not only does Sakura has her monstrous strength, she also has an instant regeneration technique. I really don't want to fight against her. Besides, their teamwork is scarily proficient. Together, they both have the skill and power to take down most Jonin and Anbu, Kakashi said with nonchalance. Asuma nodded in agreement before turning to the frozen family. Are they really immortal? Tsunami asked in shock, causing Fu to chuckle and say, technically yes, but they are still flesh and blood humans. I can agree with the regeneration factor, though I don't have the same level as Naruto-sama. After that statement, the shinobi stood up and left the room, one by one. Naruto and Sakura were sleeping on the grass in the clearing. Naruto was on his back with Sakura beside him. Interestingly, when they fell asleep, Sakura had just laid down a couple of feet from Naruto. Now, she was cuddled up right beside him with her head resting on his chest. Haku had walked into the clearing and was surprised by the sleeping shinobi. She entertained the thought of assassinating the duo before shaking her head. What was she thinking? Naruto probably had hidden clones around for just such a situation. Besides, Zabuza-sama had already decided to accept the young daimyo's offer. Nodding to herself, she quietly approached the sleeping duo before extending an arm to wake them up. Just before she could touch Naruto, a hand clenched her wrist. And what were you planning to do, Oinen-san? I know that the knucklehead teammate of mine has offered you and Zabuza a place in Uzu, so for your sake, I hope that your only plan was to wake the idiot up? Haku nodded with a nervous sigh as Sakura sat up, not even reacting to the intimate position she was in with her teammate. She had no malicious intentions, Sakura-chan. Besides, I knew she was approaching long before she reached the clearing, Naruto said sitting up. Sakura nodded before letting go of Haku's wrist. So tell me, what do you want? You still have 2 weeks to accept or decline, Haku. No need to be nervous, Naruto said gently as Sakura stood up and stretched. The popping of bones echoed throughout the clearing. Haku swallowed before saying, I was just going to wake you. It is fortunate that we have met, Zabuza-sama has agreed to the deal. Anyway, we will still be there on the bridge. Zabuza-sama's suggestion is that we put on a show until Gato appears with his thugs. We know that he would, as I have personally overheard him talking with his two most trusted men about swarming us with Ronin. The only stipulation is that Zabuza-sama gets to battle against Hatake Kakashi. Naruto nodded with a smile. Agreed. I will inform Kakashi-sensei. We will see you in 2 weeks' time then. Do you need help with gathering herbs? I have a small herb garden and Sakura is a fully certified Ryonin. Haku bowed in appreciation. I would be most honored to accept your help. Then let's get to it, Sakura said as she, Haku and Naruto more towards the edge of the clearing in search of medicinal herbs. During the hour the trio gathered herbs, they made small talk about their lives. Haku explained her situation to Sakura as she herself explained the cover story for her and Naruto's strength to Haku. At the end, Sakura could say that Haku was a friend and vice versa. Thank you for your help. Don't worry, I will let Zabuza-sama know that I have informed you as soon as he is lucid again, Haku said before disappearing in a sunshine as Naruto nodded in understanding. After Haku left, Sakura nodded to Naruto before leaving in a sunshine herself, calling out, see you back at Tazuna's, Naruto. She's gone. You can come out now, Gobi, Naruto said after a few moments. In a flash of steam, the Gobi Jinchuriki, Hanabiwa appeared. So your sensory skills were true and no exaggeration? Or was it your demon? Han asked with a mocking sneer. Naruto didn't rise to the bait as he raised his right fist to the Iwanin. Han raised an eyebrow before bumping his armored fist with Naruto's. They stayed like that for a few moments before Han withdrew his fist and nodded to Naruto. We see, but we must still keep up appearances. Also, I want to test myself out against you. See you in 2 weeks, Uzumaki, Han said before vanishing in a burst of steam. Naruto stared at the place Han occupied for a few moments longer before shrugging and vanishing in a swirl of wind. A wave of flames blasted out of the fist of Sasuke, intent on drowning his opponent in a sea of flames. Unfortunately, his opponent easily redirected the flames with a swing of her leg. The blast of wind was enough to kick up a dust cloud. Jumping back, Sasuke peered into the dust cloud trying to gauge where Ino was, only to be blasted back by a swirling wave of winds. Jumping back onto his feet, Sasuke started a combo of fast kicks and lunges, releasing waves and cones of red-hot flames, hoping to smother Ino with the onslaught. Ino watched with calculating eyes as the waves of fire flew at her. Taking a deep breath, the Yamanaka heiress closed her eyes and immersed herself into the flow of air around her. Everyone watched in shock as the young girl easily dodged the waves of flames and redirected the ones she couldn't with barely any movement. Sasuke gritted his teeth in anger. All his life, he has learned that fire is strong against wind and weak against water. Now here, Ino was countering him at every turn with only her air bending. This was absurd. Then there were his prodigious skills in the ninja arts. Ino was just a mediocre kunoichi at best. But in only a couple of months' time, she was skillful enough to give him a challenge. How was she able to do that? Without realizing, Sasuke let his anger cloud his judgment and flow with his bending. Jumping into the air with jets of fire that supported him turning blue, Sasuke did a front flip releasing a massive wave of blue flames at Ino. Seeing the suddenly different flames, Ino panicked and focused her mind in directing as much air she could to try and redirect the flames. To everyone's surprise, the flames stopped and battled with the concentrated ball of air before the air ball absorbed the flames. Everyone watched in shock as the ball suddenly shrunk, glowing like the sun before exploding in a massive ball of flames. Everyone cried out Ino and Sasuke's name when Naruto appeared and waved his hand at the rapidly expanding flames. The flames warped before fizzling out. At the same time, clones of his had caught the airborne Sasuke and Ino. You let your emotions into your bending against Sasuke. I can understand that you are frustrated, but letting your emotions into your fire bending will only lead to disaster. Until you can control your emotions, try and keep a blank state of mind. Fire is second most difficult element to control. Do you know why your flames turned blue? Sasuke shook his head in disappointment as Naruto spoke up. You let your anger and frustration taint the flames you produced. If you keep that up, lightning generation will be out of your league as it requires a stable state of mind. A balance between yin and yang. I would advise you to join Fu in her meditation exercises. Sasuke nodded before Rin spoke up. How did you overpower the explosion? Naruto chuckled as he said, I didn't overpower it. I starved it. Huh? What do you mean, Naruto? Ino asked with confusion only for Asuma to answer. You drew away the air around the flames to snuff the explosion out. Without air, not even chakra flames would survive. You know, Ino, wind doesn't just flow in a single direction like water. If needed, wind splits up and reconnects at a later point. Be like the wind, you are an airbender. You must act like the wind. Don't always go with the obvious path. Besides, redirection isn't the right option every time. What would happen if you accidentally redirect an attack at an ally? Ino bowed her head in shame when Naruto spoke, but all things considered, you are doing quite well for someone who just started learning bending a little more than a month ago. I only ask that you think of your options more. Also, don't panic like you did at the end. Now keep it up. Ino squealed in delight and hugged her fellow blonde, causing Sakura to narrow her eyes in annoyance. After a moment, Ino let go of a surprised Naruto and walked back to her team with a flirty smile. Naruto blushed in embarrassment before coughing and turning to Sakura. Since everyone has had a spar other than us, how about we have a bout with all your skill? Unless you are scared? Only if you use only ninjutsu and basic ninja arts, no Senjutsu or Kyuubi chakra cloak, Sakura said, getting a nod from Naruto. Both of them jumped back and faced each other. Everyone watched carefully. Especially you, Sasuke and Asuma. I will be showing you more advanced bending skills. Kakashi-sensei, can you be the mediator? Sure thing, Naruto. Take your positions. On the counter of 3, 2, 1. Hajime, Kakashi said, jumping back to the edge of the clearing. As soon as Kakashi was out of the way, Sakura raised up a boulder and kicked it towards Naruto. Smiling, Naruto swung his right arm in an arc before striking towards the boulder with two fingers extended. A concentrated beam of lightning flew from the fingertips and blasted the boulder into dust, covering the field in dust and smoke. As the smoke and dust cleared, everyone saw that Sakura was gone. Everyone wondered what Sakura was about to do when Naruto raised his right foot up and slammed it onto the ground. Suddenly the ground a couple of feet away from Naruto erupted, revealing a bruised Sakura. Wow! His sensory skills are even greater than I realized, Asuma said with shock, only for Sakura to say, using neutral Jing style of bending you were talking about? You listen to the vibrations through the bottom of your feet. You should try to use it. If you become skilled enough, you gain a powerful sensory ability that will allow you to sense anything connected to the earth. It would rival the sensory skills of a Sennin, Naruto said as Sakura nodded before throwing a few shuriken at Naruto, expecting the blonde to dodge or block. Are you mocking me, Sakura-chan? You know that these are useless against me, Naruto said as he waved his hands at the shuriken. Everyone watched with awe as the shuriken came to a stop a few feet from the blonde before changing shape into small arrows floating around Naruto. Naruto grinned before punching towards Sakura, causing the arrows to fly towards her. Narrowing her eyes, Sakura analyzed the situation and came to the startling conclusion that Naruto had bended the residual earth in the metal. Jumping to the side, Sakura waved her hands, trying to redirect the arrows. Surprisingly, the arrows changed their path. Not noticeable by those on the sidelines. but easily noticeable by Naruto and Sakura. The arrows flew and struck the tree a bit to the side of the place directly behind Sakura's previous position. How did Naruto do that? Choji asked with surprise, dropping his bag of chips. Sakura smirked and said, "You bended the trace earthly impurities in the metal. Thanks for showing me. I just need to develop my skills in bending metal. Now don't blink." Naruto grinned and nodded as Sakura suddenly vanished before reappearing in front of Naruto, surprising the blonde and trying to punch him in the gut. Surprisingly, the attack landed and launched the blonde back before he burst into a red mist, shocking everyone. "What?" Ino asked in shock. "Is that some kind of new clone?" Asuma asked when Shikamaru said, "It must be a prototype blood clone he was talking about with the cages." I agree with Shikamaru. Now the question is, where is Naruto and when did he change? Sakura in that time had drawn up a massive amount of water from the surrounding ground and plants and started bending it into an octopus-like shape around her. Taking a deep breath, Sakura suddenly lashed towards one of the trees with one tentacle of water when a blade of wind sliced through the tentacle. Before the separated water could land on the ground, it froze and flew towards Sakura in a wave of ice senbon. Without batting an eye, Sakura grinned as she directed the water around her to form a wall and freeze right as the ice senbon struck the now frozen wall and shattered. Not wasting time, Sakura unfroze the wall and started to quickly jab into the wall, causing jagged chunks of ice to fly towards Naruto. Smiling, Naruto swung his leg and released a golden-colored flame that easily vaporized the ice chunks and continued to fly towards Sakura, who let go of the water and took control of the earth and brought forth a large slab of bedrock that easily withstood the flames. Bringing her fists back, Sakura started to quickly jab into the rock wall, causing large chunks of rock to fly at Naruto, this time with the added reassurance of Naruto being not able to melt the rocks. Taking a deep breath, Naruto got into a free-flowing stance and started to dodge the jagged pieces of earth with the grace of a dancer, awing everyone. As the rain of earth petered out, Naruto grinned before jumping into the air and kicking at Sakura, releasing a wave of blue flames much hotter than Sasuke's. Seeing the powerful flames flying towards her, Sakura took a deep breath before drawing in as much water as she could from the surrounding ground and plants. Unlike last time, this time the plants withered into dust and the ground broke up. Directing the water, Sakura quickly created a dome of ice around her before adding a jagged rock hut inside the dome to protect herself. Everyone watched as the flames struck the ice dome. At first it seemed that the ice would survive, but suddenly cracks started forming all over the surface before the flames seeped into the ice, giving it a near blue glow. The glow mesmerized everyone before blue flames started erupting from the cracks just as the ice vaporized. As the flames faded, everyone saw the remains of a hastily constructed closed rock hut. The hut was melted at places, dripping red lava. Naruto observed the scene with cold indifference. He knew that it wasn't enough to take Sakura down, and to prove his point, the hot rock suddenly became dust and mixed with the molten rock, adding to its mass. Without even realizing, Sakura threw her hands forward, causing a tentacle of molten rock to flow towards Naruto, catching the boy by surprise. Jumping back, sweating from the sweltering heat, Naruto launched a massive wave of compressed lighting, blowing the lava apart before launching multiple small balls of rock at the exhausted Sakura. Though the pink-haired medic could see the balls approaching, she was too exhausted from the heat to retaliate and was consequently knocked unconscious. Seeing that Sakura was unconscious, Kakashi declared the spar over. That was intense, but it seems that both kept to mostly ninju even though the rules allowed them to use the ninja arts, Ino said with a sigh. I didn't even know Sakura could bend lava. I know Naruto said that with enough practice, an earthbender can learn lava bending, but to watch it up close was awesome. Choji said with excitement. Sakura bended the lava with instinct. That took a lot out of her, Sasuke said as everyone watched Naruto kneel on the ground beside the unconscious Sakura. A green flame erupted in his hands as he placed them on Sakura's stomach and head. What is he doing now? Fu asked in confusion as the flames engulfed Sakura before receding. As the flames vanished, all the bruises on Sakura were gone as well. Picking up Sakura in his arms, Naruto looked at everyone and said, the rejuvenating flames have healed her, but she still needs rest, so I am taking her to Tazuna's. I will see you all later, Naruto said before vanishing in a swirling of wind. When do you think we should attack Han? Kyuchi asked the Gobi Jinchuriki. Why do we need to ask Han? The kid's young. He doesn't have the experience his father had. He may be strong, but we can take him. Akunoichi said with confidence, only for Han and Kyuchi to glare at the upstart. Don't underestimate Uzumaki because of his age. That would only lead to a swift defeat. Besides, he is a perfect Jinchuriki. He has full access to the Kyuubi's chakra. He may just be an even greater threat than his father, Kichi said with contempt. Besides, he may know Namikaze's prized Hiraishin. The report says that he is good in Fuinjutsu. He could have many Uzumaki clan techniques under his control. Techniques that was able to destroy the coalition army. All the Iwa Jonin gulped in realization of the precarious situation they were in. One small mistake, and they returned to Iwa in a body bag. Uzumaki has made a deal with Zabuza and his accomplice. They will meet at the bridge in 1.5 weeks. We should ambush them then, though I have a feeling Gato will try and double-cross everyone. Why would you say that, Han? Simple Kichi. Zabuza's apprentice overheard Gato tell his men that they will be ambushing the survivors on the bridge, Han said, getting a raised eyebrow from Kichi. I didn't think Iwa was so desperate that the old Tsuchikage would send a Jonin after me. Granted, I am officially a Jonin myself, so you may also have hidden abilities, but still, his own granddaughter? The pink-eyed girl's eyes widened in shock before a pair of hands clamped down on her mouth and waist. Vanishing in a swirl of wind, Naruto and his captive reappeared beside Han, to the shock of the Iwanin. You all should keep an eye on your Jonin. I expected an ambush from Iwa, but a Jonin is too much, ni? Kurosuchi? Ah. Hello daddy. Kurosuchi awkwardly said with her nervousness easily leaking into her tone. I can easily kill her, you know? Naruto said, creating a small jet of fire in his clenched fist. He positioned the jet like a knife at Kurosuchi's throat. You think you can escape here if you harm a single hair on Kurotsuchi-sama's head? The kunoichi from before shouted, causing Kichi to glare at the fool. Naruto grinned and was about to speak when he felt a kunai pierce his gut. Letting the girl go, Naruto clutched his stomach to see blood flowing through the gaps of his fingers. Naruto chuckled, you have spunk, I will tell you that, but how did you know that I am not a clone? Simple, no clone has a heartbeat. Besides, you are bleeding, aren't you? Clones don't bleed, Kurotsuchi said with a smug grin. You should know that I had poisoned the kunai with a fast-acting nerve agent that kills normal humans in moments. Being a Jinchuriki, I say you have a few minutes at most. Die Namikaze for the sins of your father. Everyone watched in shock at the turn of events, even Han was surprised. Naruto grinned, coughing up blood, kawaii little kunoichi, taking revenge for her fallen comrades. If I followed your logic, then I should have went and completely destroy Iwa, Kumo and Kiri for the massacre of my clan. Revenge isn't the answer. It only leads to more bloodshed and pain. An eternal circle of hatred that can only be broken if the next generation gives up on the hatred. As Naruto finished with a cold tone, he dissipated into a red mist. The red mist flowed away, leaving behind a dark purple mist. The red mist condensed into a glob of blood before it reformed into Naruto, surprising everyone. You should know that in the world of ninja, anything is possible. A clone that bleeds and has a heartbeat? Doesn't exist, then make one. I warn you now, abandon the mission, or I will be forced to take your lives and then raze Iwa to the ground. I don't like holding grudges, but when the lives of innocent bystanders are threatened, all gloves are off. A shiver ran down everyone's spine, even Han's, right before Naruto dissipated into a cloud of blood and flew away. After they were sure that Naruto was gone, the Iwanin finally relaxed. What kind of jutsu is that? Kurotsuchi asked in awe when Kichi grabbed the girl by the ear. A better question is, what are you doing here, Kurotsuchi? This is an S-ranked mission. Also, you have come here without permission. That is grounds for a court-martial. Father can mark you as a nukenin. Did you think of that? Then you were caught by the target and alerted him. Worse, you actually gave him the true reason why we're here and our position. Give the kid a break. Uzumaki knew we were here from the moment we arrived, Han said to the surprise of everyone. This was the first time Han stood up for someone. Besides, kid, your mother died during a war. Uzumaki was right, revenge isn't the answer. Hatred only leads to pain and suffering. I have faced it until I proved myself. We are shinobi, our job is to kill. Every one of us here have killed, even you. If the surviving kin of all our victims started lusting for our heads, even we would be overwhelmed. During the war, just like Namikaze massacred our battalion, I myself have massacred many teams. I don't see Konoha coming for my head. It was a time of war, nothing personal. Your mother was a hero, besides she died at the hands of Jiraiya of the Sannin, not Namikaze Minato. She was a member of my team. Her sacrifice allowed me to escape. With his piece said, Han vanished in a burst of steam. Everyone stared at the place for a few moments before Kurotsuchi collapsed as the adrenaline disappeared from her bloodstream. With tears flowing freely, Kurosuchi turned to her father and asked, "Did Mom really sacrifice herself so that Han could live?" Kichi nodded with a somber expression, "That's right. A Jinchuriki is more important in the long run than an elite Jonin. Your mother and her two Chunin comrades held Jiraiya of the Sannin back so that we wouldn't lose Han. If they didn't, the loss of life on our side would have been worse. Besides, I don't hold a grudge against a fellow shinobi for doing his duty. If I had a jutsu like the Hiraishin, then I would have done the same as Namikaze did to protect my country. If you really need to hate, hate the cause of the death, war and the reason behind it. You are lucky to be alive." As Kichi walked away, Kurosuchi wiped her eyes and stood up. As she followed her father, Kurosuchi heard the other Iwanin discussing the jutsu Uzumaki had used. Some of the theories were so ludicrous that Kurosuchi had to work hard to stifle her laughter. "I think he is a demon. There's no other way one can burst into a cloud of blood and reform again. No, I think he caught us all in a subtle illusion. That's why he was able to do such things." "Then how do you explain Han seeing the same? He is immune to genjutsu." "Maybe, it was a blood clone? A kid creating a clone technique that was marked as kinjutsu even to research it? Ha! And I am the Tsuchikage." Tazuna watched in awe as multitudes of Naruto clones were rushing about helping his workers. Some were even applying what the blonde had called seals to enhance the durability of the different key components of the bridge. Beside him Asuma was leaning on a stack of wooden logs, smoking a cigarette. "Amazing what he can do, isn't it?" Tazuna looked at Asuma with a stunned expression. What can he say in response? "Choji, Sakura. On my mark, we will move the block into position. Now." Shikamaru called as he and his fellow earthbenders lifted by a massive block of stone and lowered it down on the unfinished pillar. Now Kakashi-sensei, Naruto, Sasuke melted into place. Nodding, the trio of Konoha ninja jumped into the wooden scaffolding around the pillar and started generating lightning and intense flames. Sasuke and Naruto melted the rock, causing it to flow and seal up the gap, while Kakashi focused his lightning to chip away at the excess rock. After the trio finished, they jumped back onto the bridge and nodded to Ino and Fu. They nodded and jumped onto the scaffolding before conjuring streams of ice-cold winds and had them buffet the molten seam between the two blocks. "You know, I knew that your ninja magic was powerful enough to kill many people and heal instantly, but I never could have guessed that your magic could be used like this." Kakashi chuckled as he heard Tazuna's proclamation. "This isn't really ninjutsu. This is ninshu. An art that was originally developed by the Rikudo Sennin. It was meant to be used for self-defense and spiritual communication. It was lost for millennia until Naruto started bringing it back and teaching us. Even we didn't realize the true implications of ninshu until now. What we are doing is in fact training. Naruto seems to have a way of transforming what we consider boring D-ranked missions into interesting training methods. With ninshu, I believe Naruto's wish is to make ninshu into a way of life, applied to even the most menial of tasks. That's what it was meant to be, Kakashi-sensei. Tazuna, can you tell me what happened to the Nami Daimyo?" Naruto said, walking up to the group. Turning around, Naruto called out, "All right everyone, break for lunch. We will continue later." As the Jonin nodded and went off for a well-deserved rest, Tazuna smiled at the boy and said, "Thank you for the help, even if it was meant to be training for your comrades. We are way ahead of schedule. Instead of the end of the month, I project the bridge being completed by the end of the week. Because of that, I feel we can call it a day today." As Tazuna said that, cheering erupted from the gathered workers and even the Jonin. Tazuna nodded to his workers before turning to Naruto. "Daimyo-sama was the first to go. We didn't realize it until Gato had executed Keiza, but when we challenged Gato by telling him that Daimyo-sama would retaliate, Gato laughed and revealed that he had already killed Daimyo-sama and taken over all of his holdings. From what I heard, Gato even had Hime-sama raped in front of her father before he had them killed. Some of Daimyo-sama's court joined Gato, others were killed along with their families. Most ran away, leaving us to Gato." Naruto's eyes narrowed in anger. He nodded before saying, "I see. Hirai, the present daimyo, was a tyrant and overstepping his bounds. I will take care of the problem, Tazuna. Don't worry about a thing." Tazuna nodded and was about to speak when a burst of smoke covered the duo. The Konoha Shinobi and Fu were alarmed at first, but as the smoke cleared, most of them breathed out a sigh in relief. "Hello Gamikachi, can you and your friend please get off my head with the scrolls please?" Naruto said with a twitch in his eyes. "Sorry bro, I was sure that we would appear beside you," Kichi said as he and the Blue Toad jumped off with the massive scrolls strapped to their backs. After landing in the bridge, Kichi took out a smaller scroll branded with the Uzumaki clan mark and handed it to Naruto. The samurai banker man sent this, bro. He said that it contains the documents you asked for. Let's drop the scroll now. We need to head back. See you later, bro. Thanks for dropping the supplies of so fast, you too, Naruto said with a smile. Kichi just waved a hand while Yura bowed and said, "It was an honor, Senin-sama. If you need anything, just summon Yura." With her piece said, the two toads vanished in a puff of smoke. Tazuna stared at the place the two toads occupied with incredulity. As Naruto kneeled down and picked up the two scrolls. As he stood up, Tazuna was surprised by the toad-like eyes Naruto now sported. "What's this about, Naruto?" Kakashi asked as he eyed the scrolls with curiosity. Naruto just grinned and suddenly tossed one of the scrolls to a surprised Fu. After fumbling with the scroll, Fu finally strapped it to her back and looked at Naruto with a questioning look. "Just some supplies the Uzumaki clan is donating for the citizens of Nami. Fu, follow me, we are heading to the town square. I want to see if Gato has the guts to stop me or take the supplies I am giving." The mint-haired girl nodded as Naruto turned back to Tazuna. "You also follow me, Tazuna. I need you to fill me in on the political position of Nami at the moment." Kakashi was about to follow him when Naruto tossed the small scroll to him. "You all head home and read the scroll. It will fill you in. Don't try to unseal the documents. Takagetsu-san has a habit of trapping such deals with very unpleasant consequences for a thief." With that said, Naruto, Fu and Tazuna walked towards the middle of town, leaving behind a group of contemplative shinobi. What other secrets do Naruto have? Next he will say that he has figured out time travel, Ino said with a dramatic expression. Sakura, who was drinking a cup of herbal tea, choked but quickly recovered. With an annoyed expression, the pink-haired medic asked, "What did he do now?" "It seems that Nami no Kuni is a satellite state of Uzu no Kuni. Naruto-sama plans to take full control of it again," Asuma said as he popped a new cigarette into his mouth. Before the Jonin could even light it, a senbon-made of ice pierced it and flew away, tearing it away from the stunned shinobi's mouth. "Don't smoke here. You are setting a bad example," Sakura exclaimed with a sweet smile that sent a shiver down Asuma's spine. "It seems that I need to tell Naruto that you are slacking off again. Didn't I tell you that your smoking habit has deteriorated your lung capacity? It's affecting your stamina. Ino, make sure that he doesn't smoke again." Asuma looked at Ino and Sakura with a horrified expression. With Ino and Kurenai harping about quitting and Sakura and Naruto forcing remedial stamina training, his life would become a living nightmare. Sasuke smirked while the others chuckled at Asuma's expense. Sakura sighed before saying, "So he finally decided to do something about the 3 satellite states of Uzu, good for him. I was wondering why he didn't do anything about them yet." "You knew about it already?" Shikamaru asked with intrigue. Sakura nodded, "That's right. He asked me for advice on the matter. I told him to do as he pleased but for the betterment of the people." Shikamaru nodded before Tsunami asked, "Is your friend related to a daimyo?" Everyone turned to see Tsunami standing at the entrance of the lounge with a tray filled with plates of sandwiches. Everyone laughed, confusing the woman. What was so funny about her simple question? Ino calmed down first and said, "He is not related to any living daimyo. He is a daimyo. The Uzu daimyo, who seems to be the rightful ruler of Nami. Your previous daimyo's family was a retainer of the Uzumaki entrusted with the care of Nami. It seems that now you are all stuck with him. I will tell you now, Naruto-sama can drive a perfectly sane man insane with just his words. Be careful while listening to his speeches." Tsunami looked startled at the revelation. She was about to speak when Inari asked, "But he doesn't act like one." "Inari, be respectful," Tsunami scolded before turning back to the rest of the ninja. Walking forward, Tsunami placed the plate on the middle of the table before settling down herself. After getting comfortable, Tsunami asked, "Why does Naruto-sama endanger himself for commoners like us? He could easily hire strong ninja and samurai to do the job." Sasuke chuckled, stunning everyone. "This is Naruto we are talking about. His life ambition is true peace, equality and understanding between the nations. He is someone who believes in doing something himself instead of letting others do it for him. To him, his life is just a tool for the betterment of the world. He doesn't care who you are, what your titles are, what rank in society you belong to. Only thing he cares for is whether you are good or bad and if you are a threat to what he holds precious. So him being a daimyo and one of the most powerful shinobi of the age doesn't mean a thing. Besides, until recently we all considered him a dead last faller orphan. He had nothing, so he understands the lowest level of society just like he walks among the top," Kakashi said, causing Tsunami to nod in shock. Very few knew the truth about his heritage, and to protect him, that heritage was hidden from the general population and himself. Interestingly, he had discovered his heritage, became very skilled, but hid it under a facade. I think that is why he does so much himself. He didn't have any help growing up and even lived on the streets for some time. He never complains and always does what he thinks is right. To be exact, Uzumaki Naruto is a boy who makes it his life goal to help as many people as he can so that they don't suffer as he had. Sakura finished with a sad smile. As a tense mood permeated the room, Choji spoke up, "Just don't treat him differently from before. He hates formality and only puts up with it during official events. Even then, he tends to call the elder daimyos and the Hokage Gigi." Everyone smiled at the silly comment before picking sandwiches and eating them. "I will keep that in mind, but may I ask where San, Fu-chan and Naruto-sama is? They are late for lunch." Tsunami asked with interest. "They should be back in a couple of hours. Naruto asked your father to fill him in on the political situation of Nami while he and Fu hands out the supplies he ordered for the populace," Sakura said, going back to her lunch. After that the group quietly ate. They were just finishing lunch when Tazuna rushed into the room with a flustered expression. Spotting Kakashi, Tazuna clutched the shinobi's shoulders and started shaking him. "Why the hell didn't you tell me that Naruto-sama was a daimyo, more specifically, our daimyo?" Kakashi gently took hold of the man's hands and said, "Ma, you need to calm down. Now to answer your questions, first one, because it wasn't relevant. Second, I just learned about it. If you need to blame anyone, then blame Sakura. She knew before today." Tazuna nodded before he suddenly collapsed into Kakashi's arms, his adrenaline running out. "What happened to San? Where's Naruto-sama and Fu-chan?" "They remained back to feed and play with the orphans. Then said they will be back after dinner and not to worry about them. The most incredible thing is a daimyo cooking for some orphans. I am not too surprised. He has a soft spot for orphans," Sakura said with a grin. Tazuna nodded before becoming serious. "I know that all of you are trusted by Naruto-sama, so I will go ahead and ask your opinion. Do you think I should accept his offer to become the present Lord of Nami? Naruto-sama offered me and my family the position." Everyone looked surprised, none more so than Tsunami. After a few moments everyone turned to Sakura, causing the pink-haired girl to raise an eyebrow. "What? You are his closest friend, you advised Tazuna," Sasuke said with a smirk as he leaned his back on the wall. Sakura grumbled but said, "Naruto's sensory abilities allow him to even sense the nature of a person. So if he believes that you are worthy of such a position, then you should accept it. But don't accept because you are afraid to offend Naruto. Accept it for the right reasons. I personally believe that you would do great as the Lord of Nami. You have, at personal risk, went to Konoha to seek aid. You are the one who has persevered through Gato's tyrannical rule and rallied the men of Nami to build a bridge that would technically free you from Gato. I think you are the only candidate. I have seen the people of Nami looking up to you, so I think Naruto was wise to offer you the charge. Think it over and accept, only if you want. Not because you feel you have to." With her piece said, Sakura stood up and walked out of the room. As she was leaving, Kakashi asked, "Where are you going?" "To make sure Naruto doesn't make the kids addicted to ramen." Sakura snarked, causing everyone from Konoha to laugh. "Hey Sakura, wait for me," Ino said as she rushed after Sakura. "Does anyone else feels like following them?" Asuma asked, getting a round of no's from the rest of the boys. Sasuke smirked and said, "It seems Ino has changed ship. Naruto, I thank you for your brave sacrifice. Now I have to worry about one less fangirl. Troublesome, but you are right Sasuke. I fear that if they ever get together, then their spawn will make even a Shinigami shiver in terror. Don't be mean you too. And Sasuke, it seems to me that you are jealous." "Shut it Hakimichi, I am just glad that she isn't stalking me anymore." "Kakashi, I am going out to train my ninju," Sasuke said, rushing out of the room. After the Uchiha left, Kakashi and Asuma chuckled at the boys' antics. Ino and Sakura walked into the town square to see multiple Narutos and Fus running about. Some cooking and handing out the cooked food. Others were helping the elderly and the sick and injured with the seal Naruto used to heal Asuma. Some were playing with the children. Finally one Naruto, the one Sakura believed to be the original, was talking with some men and women. A pair of women had red hair that attracted Sakura's interest. The last time she saw that particular shade of red was on Karen, so they must be Uzumaki survivors. Besides the women stood a strong-featured man who was showing Naruto an arm with steel skin. The others were just watching with interest. Then too a sibling pair looked similar to Kisame. Naruto grinned and nodded to something the man with the steel arm said before spotting Sakura with Ino. Waving, Naruto called out, "And here is the medic I was talking about? She should be able to heal your wife. A Kaguya, wasn't she? That's a relief, Naruto-sama. I really hope Honoka recovers. I don't know what I and our kids would do without them. Don't worry about it. I am sure that Sakura can heal her. Sakura, do you have your medical supplies with you? Damon's wife is very ill." Sakura looked surprised but nodded none the same. Turning to the man, Sakura said, "Nice to meet you. I am Haruno Sakura. Can you describe your wife's symptoms?" The man smiled, "Kanjiki Damon Haruno-sensei. Honoka seems to have come down with a case of weak bones, lethargy and is coughing up blood at times. I am really afraid for her health." Sakura nodded before clarifying, "Naruto said she is of Kaguya descent. If that's true, then she need to increase the intake of calcium. Unfortunately, for full recovery, she needs to be hospitalized in Konoha. There is an experimental treatment procedure that has 80% success rate of full recovery. They are going to come to Konoha. I offered them a chance to start a new clan in Uzu and they accepted. Let me introduce you to everyone. These are Uzumaki, Natsumi and Toka," Naruto said, pointing to the two red-headed women. They come from lines specializing in Fuinjutsu and crafting respectively. Both civilian families with some becoming shinobi. Their husbands took the supplies back home to their extended families. Overall I just found 13 Uzumaki survivors. Then you have already met Omon. These are Hoshigaki Taruo and Mizuho. They are twins." The two shark-like siblings nodded in greetings. Finally the 3 young men and the 4 young women are Yuki clan members. "You can come on out, Haku. No one will harm you here." Haku, who was watching from a tree, jumped down with a small pout. "You really like to take away the fun in being a shinobi, don't you? Well, I could have let you make a dramatic entrance, but then you would have missed being reunited with lost family," Naruto said exuberantly as he pointed to the 7 Yuki clan members. "Unfortunately, they are civilians, so by default you become the clan head. Congratulations, you have to suffer through the skullduggery of working through paperwork to re-establish your clan." Haku's eyes twitched in annoyance at the reminder. She had heard Zabuza-sama complained about paperwork before. She was not looking forward to it. Taking a deep breath, Haku stepped forward only for one of the women to stare at the girl in shock before pulling her into an embrace. "It can't be. Was your mother Tsubasa?" Haku nodded with a stunned expression, causing the woman to cry in delight. "I am your first cousin, Hinajuku. I can't believe I found such close family still alive and practicing the shinobi arts. Naruto-sama, you don't know how much this means to me. I think I can. After all, like you, I have found family as well. Not as close as I would have liked, but family nonetheless. Anyway, catch up. I need to go and beat up a couple of Gato's thugs. Want to join me, Ino? Do I want to? Count me in. These bastards need to be taught a lesson." Ino growled, remembering the pitiful state the town was in. "Naruto-sama, before you go, you should know that a contingent of I-1 are nearby. It seems that Gato has hired them to both kill Tazuna-san, ourselves and you. He seems to feel you like the plague." Naruto smirked, "I already know Haku, but thanks for the heads up. In fact, I think I will play around with their heads again." Everyone stared at him in shock, but before they could react, Naruto grabbed Ino and Fu before vanishing in a swirl of wind. After he was gone, Damon finally asked, he wasn't at all affected by the news, "Haku-san, how large a contingent?" "Don't know, but I know that 2 members were the Gobi Jinchuriki Han and that Tsuchikage's son Kichi." Everyone blinked at the news. This had suddenly become a very dangerous situation. A Jinchuriki and an elite Jonin wasn't something to take lightly off. "I think I will follow Naruto-sama to give him extra protection." Damon said, only for Sakura to intervene. "There's no need. Naruto is a fully realized Kyuubi Jinchuriki with exceptional skills in Senjutsu. Fu, herself, is a partially realized Nanabi Jinchuriki. Finally, Naruto is an S-ranked shinobi even without the fox. Then he has skills to instantly knock out an enemy with just a glare. We would only get in the way. Instead, take me to your wife. I need to see in what stage her condition is." Everyone looked startled, but it was Damon who voiced everyone's thought, and he is barely 13. "I really don't want to go through his personal training schedule. I doubt anyone would survive his training regime. The only reason I don't have him committed is because of his regeneration factor that nullifies the negatives of the regime. And I thought Zabuza-sama was a masochist for his own training schedule," Haku said with a bit of awe. "Really everyone, Don't worry about Naruto. Instead, pray for the sanity of the Iwanin. I doubt they all will return completely sane. Not with the mischievous vibes Naruto was giving off. Natsumi giggled and asked, he got the pranking habit the royal line was infamous for, didn't he? Sakura just nodded, causing the two Uzumaki to laugh. You should know that he is known as the prankster king from hell in Konoha. He once infiltrated the Anbu HQ and dyed all of their uniforms neon orange. He was 7 at the time. If I may ask, who was Naruto Asuma's father? We know that Kushinahime was his mother as he was born in Konoha, and the only known Uzumaki in Konoha to correspond with the timeline was Hime-sama, so who was his father? Sakura grinned mischievously and said, the Ondaime Hokage, Namikaze Minato. Everyone but Haku blinked owlishly at the information, unable to form any coherent thoughts. Haku and Sakura giggled at the state that little bit of information sent these grown men and women into. That's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on my other social media accounts. Anime God here, and I'm signing off.